You're listening to Inside Lebo, a podcast giving you an inside look at Mount Lebanon, Pennsylvania, produced by Mount Lebanon's Public Information Office.
What if 23 communities could act like one, saving money, sharing resources, and responding faster in emergencies? That's exactly what's happening right here in the South Hills of Pittsburgh, thanks to the South Hills Area Council of Governments, also known as SHACOG. I'm Rachel Windsor, Mount Lebanon's Assistant Public Information Officer and the Senior Editor of Mount Lebanon Magazine.
And I'm Assistant Municipal Manager and Municipal Planner Ian McMeans. In today's episode, brought to you by Truver's Jewelry, we're meeting with Patrick Connors, the new Executive Director of SHACOG, who's leading the charge to make collaboration more powerful than ever. Founded in 1973, SHACOG serves 23 member communities with a combined population of nearly 300,000. At its core, SHACOG operates on a principle you're probably already familiar with: strength in numbers. Think of co-ops for insurance, prescription meds, or even tires, but for municipalities buying road salt, street signs, or even police cars. From shared equipment to critical response teams, SHACOG is proving that when municipalities work together, everyone benefits, even the residents who may never see it. So Patrick, thank you so much for joining us today.
Oh, thanks for having me. This is a really exciting opportunity. Thanks for the invite.
Yeah, absolutely. So you recently stepped into the role at SHACOG after leading Quaker Valley COG and working in municipal administration. So what first drew you to regional collaboration work?
It's hard to get bored when you have dozens of bosses, right? And I did have experience working for individual communities. Right out of school, I started in a small town, Edgeworth Borough, town less than 2,000 people. Worked there for a handful of years, and then had an opportunity to go to Washington County in South Strabane Township. So a much larger, kind of urban, suburban, sprawling community, development everywhere, commercial and residential. So had an opportunity to dabble in a couple different communities, and when the opportunity, the Quaker Valley Council of Government popped up, that Edgeworth Borough was in that COG, right? So it was an opportunity to return to my professional roots, if you will, and again, try something different, and I really enjoyed my time there, and obviously the opportunity at SHACOG sort of led right into that, where I'm a South Hills resident, and it's a much bigger challenge, obviously. There's almost 24 communities. There is a number of services and programs that SHACOG offers, and I was really excited to throw my hat in the ring and ultimately have the opportunity to serve these communities.
So for those who may not be as familiar with how COGs operate, since you've had experience both working in individual municipalities and with councils of governments, how does leading a COG differ from running a single town or borough?
So it's not a one-size-fits-all approach, right? So where you might answer to a board of elected officials or the residents of one community, you have to figure out how to work on behalf of multiple communities, right? You have small communities, large communities, communities that might have professional staff, communities that might be just basically ran by the elected officials as far as everyday services. So you sort of have to work through that. You're not going to know on day one how those communities want you to work, and that's sort of the process I'm working through here at SHACOG. When I was at the Quaker Valley, that first year and a half was really going out to the individual communities, visiting their managers, the police chiefs, going to a board meeting, going to a planning commission meeting, just understanding what's going on in the community, how they may have worked with that COG before, and maybe how we can build upon those relationships. So it's really just learning for that first little while. Obviously you need to keep your head above water, and try my best at that right now in week number 9 here. But just like coming out here to Mount Lebanon and understanding, what's that relationship look like? What do you guys expect out of us so we can provide that service for you?
Awesome. So what would you say are some of the biggest challenges that smaller municipalities face today, and how can SHACOG help them to address their challenges?
So the smaller communities, in my past role, they utilize this a lot more. A larger community is going to have staffing that maybe helps them write grants or helps them administer joint contracts and joint purchasing. But the smaller community is going to lean on those COGs a lot more because they don't have that capacity. They don't have necessarily the number of people to help out with those roles. So, it's not a one-size-fits-all approach. Some smaller communities might not utilize a COG much at all, but my experience was a lot more time and a lot more effort was usually given to those smaller communities that leaned us a little heavier than the larger ones did.
So in your short time so far here at SHACOG, what's one of those kind of regional partnerships where you see that SHACOG has really made a difference with a large group of communities?
So there's a number of programs that I want to highlight. First, right now we're sort of discussing the spring commodities bid. So there's a SHACOG Purchasing Alliance, and that Purchasing Alliance works on behalf of not just the 23 communities in the SHACOG, but a number of councils of government throughout Allegheny County and Beaver County and Butler County. So Over 100 communities participate in the Joint Purchasing Alliance. You may have heard this winter was a pretty tough one, right? And rock salt was an issue that was really kind of dropped on my plate in the first few weeks. A number of our communities in SHACOG and the Purchasing Alliance utilized the Joint Purchasing Agreement for rock salt, 99 total communities throughout the region. So when there was a shortage in one community, it was likely a shortage in many communities, right? So we fielded a lot of those phone calls, emails, panic calls in some cases when the salt sheds were running low. So, the value is obviously when you have more communities kind of bundling together, you're going to get a much more competitive set of prices, not just for rock salt, but for other commodities as well. And it gives them one voice to speak through. So I think there was a little bit of value whenever a Springdale Township or a Mount Lebanon was reaching out to our office. We can figure out, okay, what are we going to do here as a group? We can write one letter to the vendor, for rock salt or whatever the commodity might be. And we can sort of formulate a plan with one voice as opposed to 99 different communities trying to reach out and have their problem addressed. So it was a challenge for us, but I think there is value in sort of speaking with that one voice.
Yeah, absolutely. And outside of SHACOG, you're also involved in several boards and committees, including the Local Government Academy and Connect. So how does that broader engagement benefit SHACOG and its member communities?
Yeah, so, just one example. This is kind of a cool full circle moment for me, right? So when I was a Local Government Academy intern back in 2015, Ian was actually one of the speakers that spoke to my graduating class that year, right? So, again, 10 years later, here we are, get to speak across the table from each other and work together as colleagues. But Local Government Academy, again, is that sort of network that brings the next generation forward. And one of the things I like to highlight every cycle was, hey, there's an internship opportunity for your communities to have super talented, eager undergraduate and graduate level college students. So again, just trying to sell those opportunities in front of communities at the Quaker Valley COG and now at SHACOG, I think there's immense value in that. I also, as you mentioned, I sit on the board for Connect, and there's a number of regional programs that have impacted South Hills area communities. I know as a Whitehall Borough resident, they actually had solar panels installed on their EMS building through Connect's programming. So again, being able to highlight those opportunities and just bring people together in the same room or same spaces and say, hey, this is out there. It might be worthwhile to throw an application or have a discussion about it. So again, just always trying to have my ear to the ground and just spread and promote opportunities for member communities. That's really my goal in being on those boards.
Great. So looking ahead, I know 9 weeks in, you're still kind of drinking from the fire hose of all the information that is coming from different communities. But what do you hope that folks in the South Hills will notice the most under your leadership at SHACOG?
Just being an open ear and a promoter of what these opportunities are for the communities, right? And again, just getting out there to board meetings. That's going to be on my docket here as things sort of get more settled in the role. Coming out and meeting each community, the assistant managers, the managers, everybody that works for these communities, and just again, we have so many working groups within SHACOG as well. So sort of it's a two-pronged approach. Obviously, showing up to those meetings, that's like the 9 to 5, right? You're going to do that. But going the extra mile and just really getting to meet everybody. So we have a police chiefs committee, meets once a month. I've had an opportunity to meet with them 3 times. We have a public works group. They meet once a quarter. Managers group meets once a quarter as well. We also have a fire chiefs group. The first 3, their committees work during, daytime hours. The fire chiefs committee is going to be after hours. So again, it's just, you have to do that. That's when they're going to be available. They're all volunteers. So again, there's some things that I know, the fire service, I don't know much about at all, right? And I need to go there and just listen and understand what they need from me. And again, in a year or 2, I'll have a much more, confident posture in those meetings. But again, it's just listening right now and just trying to be there, be present, be visible. Anytime you're asked to speak or do something, go do it, right? And then hopefully people come to you with situations, problems, and questions that maybe they didn't do before. So that's my goal.
Awesome. Well, we're going to take a quick break with a word from our sponsor, Trouvers Jewelry. And in the second half of today's episode, we'll dive a little bit more into SHACOG itself, talking about what it does, how it benefits member communities, and why regional cooperation matters now more than ever.
Looking for that perfect piece of jewelry? At Trouvers Jewelry, you're not just a customer, you're part of the family. Locally owned by Mount Lebanon residents Rob and Kay Trouver, Trouvers has specialized in exquisite craftsmanship and custom jewelry design for over 30 years. Rob is an expert goldsmith, ensuring your jewelry is created with the utmost skill and care. Whether you're looking for something timeless or one of a kind, Trouvers delivers it all. Visit us at the corner of West Liberty and Piermont Avenue or check us out online at trouvers.com. At Trouvers, it's personal.
Welcome back to Inside Lebo. In this half of the episode, we're going to take a closer look at the South Hills Area Council of Governments, also known as SHACOG. So Patrick, why is SHACOG so important for local governments?
Again, I think it's just finding opportunities for communities to collaborate, save on resources, save on time, and there's never anything new in local government, right? There's not some brand new novel concepts. There's opportunities through COGs and different boards to share those ideas, right? A problem that Mount Lebanon's facing, Peters Township might face, or Moon Township might face, and it's an opportunity for us to get in the same room, whether it's through the working committees, whether it's through our board, whether it's through conversations like this, again, to figure out what that community did to address the issue, and maybe that can be applicable to the community in question. So COGs, I think, again, are just such a great vessel to figure out as a region, what opportunities are out there, opportunities for shared programming. The SHACOG has its Vector and camera truck program. Again, about half of our communities utilize those vehicles in some way, shape, or form. And one community as its own entity might not have the resources or the need for a truck all the time, a Vector truck or a sewer camera truck. But as a group, you might be able to plug and play throughout the year and offer that program to those communities. So again, it's a vessel that brings everybody together at the same time in the same space. And through those conversations, you find resources and opportunities where you can pursue grants, pursue programming, share resources as best you can. So again, I think it's just a privilege to be able to work for so many towns at one time and to find those conversations and find those opportunities to grow, the services programs and make the lives of those communities much easier.
Yeah, that's a really good point that you bring up about the need versus the capacity too, because I think you see that a lot, especially with the rising costs of equipment, right? The rising costs of sewer camera trucks, the rising cost of fire trucks that all these volunteer fire companies are dealing with, or even combination fire departments like we have. That fire trucks are really expensive, and does every little fire department need to have a ladder truck, or could we buy one and share it between a couple? So I think that niche that SHACOG can fill is really important, both on kind of the broad scale, like you talked about, with the big contracts like purchasing rock salt for 99 communities, but also finding those opportunities. So are there other ways that SHACOG doesn't just save money, but enhances public safety throughout the region? Absolutely.
I think one of the best selling programs, right? Why do people want to join SHACOG that maybe aren't a member today? It's definitely our police group, right? They've worked on so many programs over the decades and built up such a foundation and base for public safety. It's truly extraordinary to sit in that room and just listen to those police chiefs just talk about what they do on a daily basis, right? Again, I'm not an expert in that topic, but just sitting there and listening and understanding what they do, it really is eye-opening and ear-opening. So to that point, there's different subcommittees within the police chiefs group, right? There's the CERT team, right, that maybe go into some really dangerous situations, and they have the training and the technology and the equipment to deal with those, accordingly. There's the drone team, right? This is a program that I think has really grown in the last 24 months, let's say, and I could see just from sitting in those first 3 meetings with the group, oh, that's where the future is going, right? Just the need to purchase the hardware, the software, have people trained on it. The NFL draft's coming to town, right? And Allegheny County and the NFL came to our group at the SHACOG and said, hey, we know that your drone team does some really great work. We'd love to have your help for this NFL draft, right? So just to highlight just how impactful that group can be for public safety. And there's so many more working groups just within that umbrella. But again, that's an opportunity for our police departments to share the resources, share the expertise, and provide a public service for not just one community, but for, in this case, 24. So there's 24 police departments that are with SHACOG, but we have 23 members. So Green Tree Borough being a police department that partners with our communities. So again, just mind-blowing stuff they're doing to keep us safe.
That's awesome. So can you tell us a little bit more about like the smaller day-to-day benefits that some of these communities get from being part of SHACOG?
Yeah, so shared purchasing, grant writing is another thing that I think we haven't yet discussed. So we administered the CDBG, the Community Development Block Grants, for a number of our communities. Also the Act 152 program, that's for blight remediation. And something I'm hoping to incorporate are some more statewide opportunities. I'm really proud of my experience in the Quaker Valley COG. Just last year, we brought in $1 million through the GEDTF grant. That's the Gaming Economic Development and Tourism Fund grant. And those revenues are actually generated through the gambling revenues online and on site through Allegheny County in the state of Pennsylvania. So I'm hoping to promote those opportunities, in the months and years ahead here, bring more applications under our umbrella, because again, that's sort of what we're built to do. Work together with our communities, administer the paperwork along with Allegheny County and the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania to get the money into our communities, get the money spent, drawn down quickly, and all the paperwork and everything submitted, according to the compliance rules that are there. So that's another program that I think is a really great basis for our communities to utilize. And again, it's just getting out there and highlighting, there's the communities that do it already, they know the routine, but just getting out there to the other communities that don't necessarily use us for that and bringing them into our umbrella for those grant administrations. So, and again, just always trying to figure out what our communities need. Listening, and there might be opportunities that we come together, in the managers group, or the police chiefs group, or the fire chiefs group that we don't have necessarily built yet. But when we hear those discussions, we plant the seeds, and then in a year or two, bam, there's a new program that our communities can take advantage of. So just every day we plug away.
Yeah, and so in conclusion, what is kind of in your perspective SHACOG's unique advantage that we have here in the South Hills?
Just the close relationship that so many of our communities have. To be honest, if the SHACOG or councils of government weren't around, I think a number of our communities would be partnering in some way, shape, or form, whether it's mutual aid agreements through the fire service or the police service, or whether it's just a manager calling another manager and saying, hey, what do you think about this? And just being able to walk into such a tight-knit group of communities, it's such a privilege, right? And you're almost working with house money. Everyone seems to get along from my experience here so far. So again, there's a number of really great staffs and teams here. I have an opportunity to learn from them. And again, just learning what we can do as an organization to best serve you guys. Because again, my goal, I think I said it previously, it's to make the lives of local government easier. We don't want to be a barrier. We don't want to make it tougher or have another layer of bureaucracy. We want to bring down the barriers and make things run a little more efficiently for you guys.
Great. Well, Patrick, thank you so much for joining us today and talking about both your vision for SHACOG and some nitty-gritty details on how the organization operates. So for listeners who want to know more or learn more about how SHACOG operates, you can visit their website, shacog.com, that's SHACOG.com, to see some of the programs, member services, and opportunities for collaboration that currently exist.
And that'll be it for this edition of Inside Lebo, sponsored by Trouvers Jewelry, produced by Marsha Morgenstern, with music by Drew Monod and graphics by Amy Robinson. Be sure to subscribe for future episodes, and we will see you next time with more from Mount Lebanon.
Thanks for listening to Inside Lebo, produced by Mount Lebanon's Public Information Office. Learn more about all things Lebo at mountlebanon.org or by following our Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram pages.